Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine setting out on a routine survey mission. You know, the kind where you expect nothing but inert iron silicon-based planets.
Right. No discernible life. Standard stuff.
Just the usual predictable cosmic landscape unfolding before your sensors.
Yeah.
But then, without warning, the universe itself seems to blink out of existence.
Yeah, just gone for a split second.
Not a small tremor, not a localized solar flare, but the fundamental fabric of reality itself flickers and nearly vanishes. That's precisely where our deep dive begins today. We're sifting through these absolutely fascinating reports from a Starfleet vessel, the iconic Enterprise, on a mission to an uncharted planet. What they encountered there was a phenomenon so profound, so utterly baffling. It didn't just threaten their ship, it threatened the very fabric of reality across the entire galaxy.
It really escalated quickly.
Our mission, custom-tailored for you, our curious listener, is to make sense of the unbelievable. To connect the seemingly disparate dots between these cataclysmic cosmic events and a deeply human drama unfolding right at the center of it all.
Yeah, there's a very personal story tangled up in this cosmic mess.
Think of this as your shortcut to truly understanding an encounter that, well, redefined what was thought possible in the universe.
What's truly fascinating here is how quickly a seemingly standard exploratory mission devolves into an existential crisis of universal proportions. I mean, the initial logs described the planet as an iron silicon base, oxygen, hydrogen world.
Pretty standard, right?
Exactly. Largely arid, no discernible life, no surprises. A completely predictable, even mundane environment. Yet, within moments, the sources detail an event that utterly defies established physical laws, demanding an entirely new framework of understanding.
So we're not just talking about what happened.
No. We'll be exploring not just what happened in this bewildering scenario, but the immense galaxy-spanning implications of such an event for everything we thought we knew about the universe, our place within it, and the very concept of reality itself. This isn't just about a damaged ship, it's about a shattered paradigm, an unraveling of foundational truths.
Okay, so let's get into that. The Enterprise is there, orbiting this, as you said, unremarkable planet.
Right, they're literally finishing up. Ready to head to Stardate 200.
And then, chaos. The sensors just go nuts. Spock reports it, and you can almost hear the strain even in his logical voice.
An incredible, Captain. What my instruments read is totally unbelievable.
That's not something you hear from Spock every day.
No kidding. He describes it with this chilling precision. Twice. For a split second, each time, everything within range of our instruments seemed on the verge of winking out.
Winking out? I mean, what does that even mean scientifically?
It wasn't just a flicker. Spock states unequivocally, the entire magnetic field in the solar system simply blinked.
The whole system's magnetism...
So gone. And the planet below, the one they were just mapping, it attained zero gravity.
Zero gravity. A whole planet. Just floating free for a moment.
Imagine that. A celestial body losing its gravitational pull entirely, if only for a moment. This immediately raises the profound question. What could possibly cause such a fundamental, instantaneous, and widespread disruption across an entire solar system? I mean, really.
And the captain's reaction? That's impossible. What you're describing is non-existence.
Exactly. That word non-existence from a seasoned captain speaks volumes about the unprecedented and utterly terrifying nature of this event. It challenges our basic understanding of matter, energy, the stability of, well, everything.
It suggests something that, according to all known physics, shouldn't be possible. Something simply ceasing to exist, even momentarily, suddenly was.
It's a direct assault on the principle of conservation of mass and energy itself. It's not just an anomaly, it's reality breaking down.
And here's where it gets really interesting and far more terrifying. This wasn't just happening there.
No, it was much, much bigger.
Almost immediately, a standard general alert signal from Starfleet Command comes through. Code Factor 1, invasion status.
Code Factor 1, that's the highest alert, maximum threat.
Right. For those familiar with Starfleet protocols, Code Factor 1 isn't just a heightened alert, it's Starfleet's highest possible declaration of an external hostile threat. It demands immediate defensive posture, evacuations, maximum readiness.
So Starfleet thinks they're under attack by something.
Something causing this. This wasn't just happening to the Enterprise, it was a universal phenomenon. Commodore Barstow confirms the effect occurred in every quadrant of the galaxy and far beyond.
Every quadrant and beyond. The scale is just almost incomprehensible.
The disruption was truly universal, impacting foundational forces. He details specific, catastrophic disruptions. Complete disruption of normal magnetic and gravimetric fields, time warp distortion, and possible radiation variations.
So navigation, gravity, maybe even time itself, all scrambled across the galaxy.
Think about that. The very navigation systems, communication networks, and even the passage of time across vast swaths of space were being fundamentally scrambled. And here's the ultimate kicker.
Uh-oh.
All of these devastating effects were centering in the general area which you are now patrolling.
Oh, come on. Right where they happen to be.
Talk about drawing the short straw. The Enterprise, a single ship on a routine survey, suddenly finds itself not just observing, but literally at the epicenter of a galaxy-threatening event.
An unknown force targeting the very fabric of existence, and they're ground zero.
And the immediate impact on the Enterprise was critical, nearly catastrophic. Spock reports that whatever that phenomenon was, it drained almost all of our dilithium crystals completely.
The dilithium, that's their power source, right? The core.
Exactly. For Starfleet vessels, dilithium crystals are the very heart of their power system. They regulate the antimatter reactions, provide energy for everything, life support, warp drive, weapons, shields. Without them,
They're dead in the water, just a drifting hulk.
pretty much. Lieutenant Leslie, the engineer, doesn't mince words, warning them, without full crystal power, our orbit will begin to decay in 10 hours.
10 hours, they're literally falling.
They're not just damaged, they're on a ticking clock, losing altitude with every passing minute. The crew is facing immediate and unavoidable destruction if they don't find a solution, and quickly.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, that rapid and near-total power drain immediately signals that this phenomenon isn't just a passive observation or some random anomaly.
It's doing something to them.
It's actively consuming or displacing energy on an unprecedented, almost conscious scale. It's like it's feeding on their power source.
Which is terrifying.
Absolutely. The fact that the Enterprise's very survival hangs in the balance with only hours before orbital decay puts immense crushing pressure on the crew to not only understand what happened, but to find answers like now.
This isn't a scientific puzzle anymore.
No, it's a desperate, frantic race against time with the survival of the entire crew at stake. And you mentioned Starfleet Command went silent after that initial alert.
Yeah, that must have amplified the sense of isolation. Just them falling with the galaxy in chaos.
Grim determination doesn't quite cover it.
So, with the Enterprise crippled, crystals depleted, galaxy reeling, Starfleet's final directive comes in.
Yeah.
And it's bleak.
What did they say?
Commodore Barskow assigns the Enterprise the terrifying, impossible job of finding out if the phenomenon is natural or far more ominously mechanically created, and if so, by whom? For what purpose?
So figure out if someone did this while you're falling out of the sky with no power.
Pretty much. It's a mission to identify an existential threat, and the most chilling part comes when Captain Kirk asks for backup, other starships.
Sensible request.
The Commodore's response is a flat, chilling negative. I'm evacuating all Starfleet units and personnel within a 100 parsecs of your position.
What? They're pulling everyone else out.
Leaving the Enterprise utterly, frighteningly on your own.
Wow.
The captain's response sums it up with grim, almost palpable resignation. You mean we're the bait?
Oof. Left behind as a cosmic canary in the coal mine.
A single ship, adrift and power depleted, against a galaxy-threatening unknown. It's a solo mission of cosmic proportions, with stakes that couldn't possibly be higher. So amidst this cosmic chaos, just as the universe seemed to, snap back into focus.
As the pulsation subsided.
Exactly. A new, entirely unexpected mystery emerges. Scanners pick up something totally inexplicable, a life object on the planet's surface below.
But Spock had just scanned. Didn't he say there was nothing?
He did. He notes it was inexplicable, highlighting the paradox. He'd done a full life survey just 5 minutes earlier, nothing. This new reading, this sudden appearance, began at approximately the moment that the pulsation phenomenon began to subside.
So whatever it was, it appeared right when the blinking stopped. Like it came from the event.
It certainly seems that way. This life object turns out to be a living being, apparently human, normal vitals. They beam him aboard.
And who is he?
This man, who introduces himself as Lazarus, immediately launches into this harrowing tale. He claims he was pursuing the devil's own spawn, a thing I've chased across the universe.
Okay, dramatic entrance.
He describes this foe as humanoid outside, but inside he's a hideous murdering monster. A creature, he insists, that destroyed my entire civilization to the last man, woman, and child.
His whole civilization wiped out by this one monster.
That's his claim. He calls this foe death anti-life, a being that lives to destroy, and he's desperate for their help. We can still stop him.
The urgency must have been intense, but something feels off already.
You think. Even as he speaks, you can sense the crew's unease starting to build.
Yeah, I mean, it immediately raises an important question, almost instinctively. Could one single being truly be responsible for such a colossal, galaxy-wide, universal disruption? The winking out thing?
Right, the blinking universe effect.
Lazarus' story, while emotionally compelling and desperate, it immediately presents logical inconsistencies. A single individual wiping out an entire civilization is one thing horrifying, yes, but causing cosmic winking out across every quadrant of the galaxy and far beyond.
That seems like a different scale entirely.
It strains credulity even in their universe. It's a grand claim that requires an equally grand explanation, which his initial story just doesn't quite provide. The sheer scope of the phenomenon doesn't align with one guy, however powerful.
And the contradictions, as Spock quickly points out, start piling up almost immediately. Despite Lazarus claiming he was fleeing this monster on the planet.
Spock scans again.
Yep. Spock's reconfirmation of the planetary sensors indicates no living creature on this planet after Lazarus is found. No monster, nothing.
Huh. So where's the monster he was supposedly chasing?
Exactly. Spock, being Spock, doesn't beat around the bush. He states, with chilling precision, he simply made the logical deduction that you, Lazarus, are a liar.
Ouch. Direct accusation.
Then there's the utterly baffling medical anomaly. Dr. McCoy observes Lazarus's deep abrasion on his forehead, a significant visible wound.
Okay, so he was injured. Makes sense if he was fighting or fleeing.
But then, to McCoy's utter astonishment, it vanishes, without a trace. Not even a bruise, he says.
Vanishes, like healed instantly.
Not even healed, just gone, as if it never happened, and then later, it reappeared.
It comes back. The same wound.
Yep. McCoy's bewilderment is palpable. He asks, was it like he had never been injured? He mentions Lazarus having the constitution of a dinosaur and miraculous recovery powers, but...
But vanishing and reappearing is different.
Exactly. He emphasizes the physical impossibility of the wound disappearing entirely and reappearing, stating, which is physically impossible for one man. It's like Lazarus's very physical reality is unstable.
Shifting before their eyes. Weird. Very weird.
And if Lazarus wasn't enough of a walking enigma, he also becomes directly tied to the Enterprise's critical power problem. Remember the drained lithium crystals?
Yeah, the ones they desperately need.
He vehemently demands the Enterprise's dilithium crystals, claiming they are the key to trapping his foe. His desperation is stark. You fool. There won't be any ship if we don't kill him. He'll destroy all of you.
So now he needs their power source to fight his enemy.
That's what he says. This heated exchange is followed almost immediately by a catastrophic incident. Shortly after, 2 vital dilithium crystals do go missing from the ship's storage.
Ah, he took them.
While Lazarus himself vanishes right after a fire mysteriously breaks out in engineering.
A diversion.
Looks like it. Calculated. So we have a man who appears out of nowhere, whose story doesn't quite add up, whose physical injuries disappear and reappear like magic.
And who seems directly linked to the disappearance of their vital power source that could doom the ship.
It's like a cosmic riddle wrapped in a personal enigma, and the crew is running out of time not just to solve it, but to survive it. The pressure is immense. With Lazarus's erratic behavior, his contradictory claims, and the ship's instruments defying all known logic, the crew, particularly Spock, is forced to delve deeper. They need answers fast.
They have to figure out what's really going on. They go back to looking at the planet, right, for that radiation source Lazarus mentioned.
Exactly, the supposed devil spawn. And they do find something. A strange, unidentifiable radiation source is indeed detected on the planet.
Okay, so maybe Lazarus wasn't completely lying about that.
Well, it immediately raises more questions. Kirk asks, how is it the scanners didn't pick it up before? And Spock's response is just mind-bending.
What does he say?
Because it is not there.
Wait, what? It's there, but it's not there.
He clarifies, struggling with the data, what I mean, Captain, is that, according to our usual scanning procedures, there's nothing there that could be causing that effect. But it is there, he admits. I confess I am somewhat at a loss for words.
So their instruments, designed to detect everything in their universe, can't see it, but they can detect its effect.
Precisely. It's an anomaly that, by all scientific principles, cannot exist, yet demonstrably does. A true paradox.
Wow. Okay. What's truly fascinating here is Spock's logical leap from that instrumental anomaly to a profound, almost unthinkable hypothesis.
He connects the dots somehow.
Yeah. If our instruments, designed to locate and identify any object in our universe, energy or matter, cannot locate this source, the only logical conclusion, however improbable and unsettling, is that it originates outside of our known universe.
Outside, like another dimension.
Something like that. It challenges the fundamental assumption that everything we perceive exists within the parameters of our known physical laws. This paradox, something is there but isn't detectable by conventional means, is the critical, groundbreaking clue.
It's like trying to find a shadow with a flashlight in a perfectly dark room.
Exactly. It's there, but not in the way you expect or can normally measure.
Spock then describes this anomaly as something far more than just a localized effect. He calls it a rip in our universe.
A rip, like a tear in reality.
A physical warp, Captain, in which none of our established physical laws apply with any regularity. And he figures out how to find it.
How? If the normal scanners don't work?
He explains he was able to localize it, not with standard scans, but specifically with the dilithium crystals.
The crystals Lazarus wanted.
The very ones. This connection is absolutely crucial. It suggests the crystals aren't just a power source, but somehow resonate with or can stabilize this interdimensional breach.
So they interact with this. Rip.
Imagine witnessing a tear in the very canvas of reality, where gravity ceases to apply and light behaves in impossible ways. That's the horror the Enterprise crew is confronting. This inexplicable phenomenon leads Spock to put forth a truly astonishing theory, one previously confined to, speculative science.
He goes there, to parallel universes.
He does. The theory of a parallel universe, perhaps in another dimension occupying the same space at the same time. He notes that the possible existence of a parallel universe has been scientifically conceived.
So it wasn't totally out of left field theoretically, but still, a massive leap.
Absolutely. Given his dedication to logic and scientific method, the fact he suggests this underscores the sheer extremity of their situation. It means that literally right now, in the very same space the Enterprise occupies, another entire universe could exist, unseen, unfelt.
Until this rip occurred, this door opened up.
He then discusses the profound and terrifying implications of two such universes, specifically a minus universe, one composed entirely of antimatter.
Antimatter. Okay, that's bad news if it touches regular matter.
Right. And a positive universe, like ours, made of matter, coming into contact. The consequence, he explains with grim precision, would be, unquestionably, a warp, a distortion of physical laws on an immense scale.
Which is exactly what they saw. The blinking, the gravity loss.
Precisely what the Enterprise and the entire galaxy experienced. The winking out was a direct symptom of this cosmic collision. He describes the meeting point between these two realities as a hole or a door.
The rip?
A point of contact that could allow either contents to escape or what is outside to enter, which ties back to Commodore Barstow's earlier invasion status alert.
Right. What if this wasn't just an anomaly, but a gateway for something or someone hostile?
So what does this all mean for our current cosmic riddle? The pieces of this bewildering puzzle are now starting to fall into place, leading us to a truly astounding, almost unbelievable revelation about Lazarus himself.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the concept of matter and antimatter is absolutely critical. It holds the terrifying key to understanding not just the universal threat, but Lazarus's erratic behavior too.
How so?
Under certain specific conditions, when identical particles of matter and antimatter meet, the result isn't just an explosion, it's total, complete, absolute annihilation of everything that exists everywhere.
Not just destruction, but erasure. Gone.
Exactly. It's the fundamental erasure of existence at a subatomic level, a conversion of mass into pure energy that is utterly final. When Spock notes that the effect was strongest here on the planet beneath us and the anomalies like Lazarus's disappearing wound and the winking out,
it all points to this hole being the localized point of contact between these two fundamental opposites.
it's a point where reality itself is unraveling moment by moment.
Okay, so we have matter and antimatter universes, a rip connecting them. How does Lazarus fit in? His weird behavior, the wound.
Well, Spock's meticulous analysis of Lazarus's seemingly contradictory states, one moment paranoid, the next calm, mild, rational, almost as if he were two men.
Yeah, the Jekyll and Hyde thing.
Coupled with the inexplicable healing wound that disappears and reappears, it leads him to the undeniable, chilling conclusion. Unquestionably, there are two of him.
Two Lazaruses. How?
One Lazarus is from our matter universe, the other from an antimatter universe.
An antimatter duplicate.
Exactly. And the door that rip in on our universe allows them to pass between these realities.
Oh, okay. That That explains everything.
Right? The vanishing acts, the impossible healing, the inconsistent stories, the energy drain.
Every time one Lazarus crossed over from his universe into ours, or vice versa.
The cosmic balance was momentarily disrupted, causing the universal winking out phenomenon. The universes were literally blinking because these two beings were swapping places.
It's a mind-bending truth that shatters the very concept of individual existence. There isn't just one Lazarus.
And it highlights the extreme fragility of dimensional barriers.
We've now arrived at the heart of the matter. Two identical beings, one matter, one antimatter, locked in this desperate, universe-threatening dance.
And the existential threat they pose to everything.
Captain Kirk, armed with Spock's deductions, confronts Lazarus with this unbelievable truth.
How does Lazarus react? Does he finally crack?
He does. He admits he distorted a fact in the interest of self-preservation for my holy cause. I needed help, not censure. He finally reveals the full, tragic story.
What is it?
My planet, my Earth, or what's left of it is down there beneath us, he confesses, describing it as a dead future on a murdered planet he destroyed.
He destroyed the other Lazarus.
Yes. And then he reveals he is a time traveler, and his foe, the antimatter Lazarus, is one too.
Time travelers and from parallel universes. This keeps getting more complicated.
He explains with this deep weariness, he's fled me across all the years, all the empty years, to a dead future on a murdered planet he destroyed.
So it's not just a chase across space, but across time and dimensions. A vendetta spanning realities.
A relentless, desperate pursuit that has already cost one universe everything. Lazarus then explains why the antimatter Lazarus is doing this. He says his counterpart is mad.
Mad? Why?
He lost his mind when our people found a way to slip through the warp and prove another universe, an identical one, existed. The very concept of an identical self, a perfect doppelganger.
It broke him.
It was simply too much for him. He could not live knowing that I lived.
Wow. That's an extreme reaction to discovering you're not unique.
It drove him to this extreme destructive obsession. He became obsessed with the idea of destroying me. And chillingly, the antimatter Lazarus was so far gone that the fact that it meant his own destruction and everything else meant nothing to him.
Destroy himself and everything just to erase his counterpart, that's beyond madness.
It's a total negation of self and all existence, rather than share reality with an identical other.
This raises an important and deeply unsettling question. What is it about the very existence of an identical self from a parallel reality that could drive one being to such profound madness and universal destruction?
Right. Why couldn't he just accept it?
The source tells us the antimatter Lazarus could not live knowing that I lived. It suggests an existential crisis so severe that total annihilation, even of himself, was preferable to coexistence or even just the knowledge of another him.
A primal fear of non-uniqueness.
Perhaps. An inability to reconcile one's individual identity with the existence of an exact counterpart. It's a terrifying insight into the fragility of identity when confronted with the infinite possibilities of the multiverse. The concept of self literally couldn't tolerate the other self.
So how does this rip, this corridor, fit into preventing total annihilation?
Spock clarifies the mechanics. He explains the corridor where the two universes meet is a negative magnetic corridor, which he calls a safety valve.
A safety valve, how?
He states, it keeps eternity from blowing up. It's like a buffer zone, a delicate balance, a prison with explosives at the door.
Okay, so it's meant to keep the universes separate.
Yeah. Yes. The winking out phenomenon wasn't caused by the corridor's existence itself. It occurred because my foe entered. His crossing destabilized the fragile equilibrium.
He basically disengaged the safety valve by crossing over.
Exactly, threatening to unleash total annihilation across both universes.
The desperate, heartbreaking plan then comes into focus. The matter Lazarus, our Lazarus.
The one who took the crystal.
Yes. He needs them to force the antimatter Lazarus back into this unstable corridor, this alternative warp. The plan is brutally simple, terrifying in execution. Trap the antimatter Lazarus in the corridor.
With the matter Lazarus waiting for him on the other side, baiting him in.
This is the only way to prevent the universes from fully colliding and annihilating each other. The ultimate bait is Lazarus himself, but the sacrifice required is dire, almost unfathomable. To seal the corridor, the Enterprise must destroy the antimatter Lazarus' ship once he's forced into the warp.
Okay, destroy the enemy ship. Makes sense.
However, because both Lazaruses and their ships are identical counterparts existing in the same space.
Oh no, destroying one destroys the other.
Destroying the antimatter Lazarus' ship will also destroy the matter Lazarus' ship. This will close the door, trapping both Lazaruses inside.
Forever.
Forever at each other's throats throughout time. An eternal, inescapable battle within a cosmic prison just to preserve existence.
That's horrifying. An eternity of combat.
A staggering price, isn't it? The captain's question to Lazarus sums it up with chilling clarity. Is it such a large price to pay for the safety of two universes?
What a question to have to answer. Your eternal torment versus everything.
It cuts to the very core of sacrifice and survival.
What's truly fascinating and awful here is the absolute irrevocable nature of the sacrifice. Not just one life, but two beings, inextricably linked, condemned to an eternal struggle.
Trapped in that negative magnetic corridor, forever preventing total annihilation.
It's a profound illustration of the ultimate stakes when universes collide, where individual existence, individual sanity, must be subsumed for the sake of everything else. It highlights the immense cosmic responsibility, the grim choices.
A kind of heroic self-negation, as you put it.
In the most extreme sense.
The plan is executed. The matter Lazarus, with grim determination, positions himself within the corridor, baiting his antimatter counterpart.
He goes in willingly.
The Enterprise fires its phasers, destroying the antimatter Lazarus' ship, which simultaneously, precisely, destroys the matter Lazarus' ship, sealing the breach with a violent burst of energy.
It worked. The door is closed.
The universe, as Spock calmly states to Captain Kirk, is safe for you and me. But the cost is immense, unimaginable for the two beings now trapped.
Irrevocably trapped in their eternal conflict, forever locked in that alternative warp.
There is, as Spock concludes with a rare hint of sadness, no escape for them, sir. Their battle is unending, their sacrifice eternal, a perpetual cosmic stalemate. So we started this deep dive with what was meant to be a routine survey mission, expecting, rocks and gas readings.
Pretty standard stuff.
Instead, we plunged headfirst into a galaxy-wide crisis. Discovered a man who was, in essence, two men identical counterparts from matter and antimatter universes.
Which is already mind-bending.
We uncovered the terrifying reality of parallel universes occupying the same space and the catastrophic consequences if they were to fully meet. All of this led to an incredible, heartbreaking act of self-sacrifice.
That quite literally saved existence. Both existences, really.
Yeah.
The deep dive into these sources reveals that the most baffling mysteries can often be explained by expanding our understanding far beyond our conventional reality, beyond what our everyday instruments can perceive.
We have to think bigger, stranger.
Exactly. The existence of a safety valve between dimensions, this delicate balance maintained by such a violent, eternal struggle, suggests a universe far more complex, more intertwined, and more delicately balanced than we often perceive.
It pushes the boundaries of scientific thought into realms previously considered just sci-fi speculation.
Forcing us to consider the very nature of what is possible, what reality even means.
And it leaves us with a truly provocative thought to consider, doesn't it? You mentioned it earlier. Our sources tell us that the antimatter Lazarus could not live knowing that I lived.
He became utterly obsessed with destroying his identical counterpart, even if it meant his own annihilation and the destruction of everything else.
It speaks to a profound crisis of identity. A complete breakdown when faced with a true other self, an exact duplicate.
So what if what if the very act of knowing there's an identical you in another universe, a perfect mirror image of your consciousness and being? What if that is what ultimately drives a being to such profound madness and cosmic destructiveness?
Can knowing you're not unique break your mind?
And what does that say about our own understanding of self, identity, and the fragile boundaries of reality? It's a question that echoes through two universes forever. A question of whether identity at its core can truly withstand the revelation of its own infinite, unsettling possibility.